How's it going, everyone? My name is Steven Michaels. Welcome to the Raiders Daily, the number one Raiders podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it, in the world. So let's get right to it. Let's just start with the latest news. The Raiders signed Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie tonight, I don't know. Who knows how this is going to play out? This guy, I don't know, he hasn't really been that great lately. He's up there. He's 32 years old right now. But they've been looking for a cornerback or a defensive back now for a month. So this is the guy. A lower level guy. I'm sure they don't have to pay that much money to. And he's probably going to make the team. Because Daryl Worley, he's going to get suspended. Now, from what I understand, it's probably going to be 6 games. That's, almost half the season. So that's a lot. After that, obviously, your 2 starters are Rashaan Melvin and Gareon Conley. So you're good there. And then you got Nick Nelson, who I think he's playing well. I don't know if we actually covered. I think we did. I don't remember if I did a recap show of the second preseason game, against the Rams, which, by the way, was, if I didn't, I can just do it real quick. It was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. Let's call it like it is. Jon Gruden did not want to show anything to the Rams, which is expected since they play each other week 1. The Rams did the same thing. John Feliciano played center. He was awful, snapping the ball over the quarterback's head. I mean, it was bad. It was bad football. The only bright spot, which continues to be a bright spot, is Chris Warren, the running back for the Raiders. This guy, to me, is unbelievable. But I am always honest with you guys, and I'm going to tell you this, and you may not like it. I don't know if Jon Gruden is going to keep this guy. He keeps getting asked about him by the media, but it seems like Jon Gruden is content with just sticking with Jalen Richard, DeAndre Washington, Doug Martin, and by the way, I get a lot of fans telling me, oh, Doug Martin's not going to make the team. He'll get Doug Martin's spot. Doug Martin is locked in at number 2. He is going to be your running back. The Raiders running back. He is in. There is no debate about it. He is going to make the team. He is the second running back on this team. And Marshawn Lynch is obviously the number 1. But Gruden, every time he speaks to the media, he is constantly saying that they have 4 running backs on a team. So he doesn't know what he's going to do with Chris Warren. He also goes out of his way to say that he doesn't think Chris Warren is a complete back yet. Does not believe that Chris Warren is a NFL caliber running back yet. And to me, that is scary. Because I'm telling you guys, I watch a lot of film. And yes, there are a few things Chris Warren can do better. He can lower his pads. Maybe his pass protection isn't that well. I don't see many, bad examples of that when I see him in preseason. But also the knock on Chris Warren is he's playing against a bunch of scrubs. Okay, that's fine. Then put him out there against the number 1s. Now, this game coming up against Green Bay, the 3rd preseason game, the Raiders starters are going to play all through the first quarter and maybe not all through the second quarter, but they're going to play into the second quarter. So they're going to have a lot of playing time. The Raiders are going to show a lot more than they showed in the first 2 games. I would like to see Chris Warren out there with Derek Carr and the rest of the starting offensive linemen. That's what I would really like to see. Because you're not going to see DeAndre Washington. DeAndre Washington has an injury that is going to keep him out the entire preseason. Yet, Jon Gruden just today spoke to the media and sounded like it doesn't really matter. DeAndre Washington will be ready for week 1. I think that was the exact quote, actually. So, I don't know. I mean, how many running backs can you carry? I doubt they're going to carry 5 running backs. That's what I'm getting at here. And Chris Warren, to me, if Jon Gruden does not keep him, it's a bad move because some team is going to pick that guy up immediately. So anyways, real quick, back to the news. The Raiders did sign DRC. Hopefully it works out. Like I said, he's 32 years old. They already got Leon Hall on the team. He's old. They got a lot of old players. Speaking of old players, the Raiders also moved Donald Penn to right tackle. They have Colton Miller starting at left tackle, and this looks like the way it's going to be. So we'll see how Donald Penn does. I do know that Donald Penn is not in football shape. The Raiders are a little bit concerned about his condition, huffing and puffing out there. So perhaps they send him out there and see how long he can last. But I do know there's also concern about putting him out there too long because he might get injured, because he's not as fast. I don't know I guess he couldn't work out because of his foot injury. He's just not in shape right now. That's what's going on, guys. He's not in shape. So they moved him to right tackle. He claims he doesn't care, but he does. So we'll see what happens there with Colton Miller playing left tackle, a rookie, on Derek Carr's blind side. I don't like it, to be honest. I really don't. It scares the hell out of me to know there's a rookie on Derek Carr's blind side. So hopefully Colton Miller is ready to go, because he is going to be up against some really good players this season. So Colton Miller has to do a good job if the Raiders want to have success. And they will have success, especially throwing the football. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You look at the AFC West. You look at all the talent that the Raiders have and what other teams have. The Raiders are going to be able to throw the ball all over the field. Jordy Nelson, Amari Cooper, Martavius Bryant. Now, speaking of Bryant, this guy, wow, I mean, he's got to start practicing because Gruden is sending messages through the media about this guy. Apparently, he has migraine problems that he's had his whole career, which the Raiders didn't know about. And he keeps missing practices. Jon Gruden doesn't like it. Jon Gruden claims the third wide receiver spot, it could go to Griff Whalen. Griff Whalen could be your third wide receiver. Now, I think Bryant will make the team, but he might not be the third wide receiver on a depth chart. We don't know. Speaking of the depth chart, it's kind of easy to see who's going to make it. I do not think speaking about the right tackle real quick, the offensive line in general, when you're looking at those preseason games, those backups are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. So if guys like Colton Miller, Kelechi Osemele, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, if they go down, they are in trouble because those guys were absolutely trash. The second and third guys there on the depth chart behind them, they were terrible. Brino, the right tackle, he's about to be gone. He's injured. So someone's going to step in there. Like I said, it's supposed to be Donald Penn, but who knows? Brandon Parker got pushed around a lot, so he didn't look very good. They got to take care of that offensive line. Hopefully guys like David Sharp, Jalen Ware, maybe Ian Silberman, I don't know. None of them look good. None of them look good in the first 2 preseason games, but hopefully they look a little bit better moving forward. Also, tight end position, Jared Cook, he'll probably be number 1. Number 2 will not be Lee Smith. It will be Derek Carrier. John Gruden is in love with him. And then, of course, you got Keith Smith. He'll be your fullback. Then on defense, guys, Khalil Mack is going to be back, okay? The whole trade thing, I hate going over this. It's not happening. I don't care how many teams call the Raiders, and of course, there are going to be teams that call the Raiders for Khalil Mack. It's going to happen, but they're not trading him. So those clickbait articles are just that. Clickbait articles that mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. I even see Raider fan websites posting them. They don't mean anything. They're fake. The Raiders are not trading Mack. And some of these fan sites pretend they're reporters or insiders. They're not. They're just fans that think they are, that hope or wish they were. I don't know. They're mentally ill. It's the only thing I can think of. You go on that Twitter and you see these people on there that act like they're insiders and reporters. They have no idea. I mean, they just play a make-believe life. They're mentally ill. I actually listened to a podcast today. A fan cast, I should call it. They had a guy on there, the guest, and they introduced this guest as a Raider insider. I couldn't stop laughing. I won't even mention his name because I don't want to give him any attention at all. Trust me, this guy is not an insider. He plays one on Twitter. He's a good actor. He's a good, hey, let me see what Stephen Michaels tweets and I'll tweet something about that. Or I will say the Packers and the Raiders are linked to every single free agent in the world and hope that they sign one so I can say, I told you so. That's what they do. That's their game. It's embarrassing. Not to mention, I work too hard to do this to have people pretend on Twitter. So anyways, let's get back to the Raiders. So yeah, when I look at their defensive line, Tank Carradine, that scares the shit out of me. I don't like him right there. Mar Edwards Jr., who knows what's going to happen with him. So, and then of course you got, let's see, Justin Ellis, you got PJ Hall, you got Mo Hurst, you got Bruce Irvin, you got Arden Key. I like what Shalik Calhoun has been doing lately. I really do. And then at the linebacker position, Emmanuel Lamar, he's going to make the team. Derek Johnson is competing with Marquel Lee for the middle linebacker spot. Tahir Whitehead will be the wide linebacker. He's going to start there. Nicholas Morrow, kind of disappointed in him. And James Cowser, we'll see. We'll see how he does. I think he does have a good chance of making the team. Even if it's on special teams, I think James Cowser may make it. And then, like I said, on cornerback position, you got Rashaan Melvin, who's going to start. Behind him is Leon Hall. The Raiders are going to keep him, by the way. The guy, Sharice Wright, he could get cut. Tevin Mitchell will be gone. Antonio Hamilton will be gone. Garyon Conley, obviously, he's going to start. Daryl Worley, he's after a suspension. And then you got Nick Nelson, Dexter McDonald. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make it there. It depends. With Cromartie coming in, it depends with Dexter McDonald. At safety position, Marcus Gilchrist is your safety there. And then it's between Carlos Joseph and Eric Harris for the other spot. Those two will be battling. And I don't know. It doesn't really matter much because with Paul Guenther's defense, there's a lot of schemes where there's 3 safeties on the field. But the only thing that really scares me, to be honest with you, with the defense, yeah, the secondary's old. We know that. You know, Khalil Mack has to be back for game 1. He's not going to miss too many games because he's not going to miss those game checks. But Tank Carradine, I don't like it. And behind him, you got Fadal Brown. He's not, I mean, come on. And Frosty Rucker has been in fourth quarter preseason games. So that's what Jon Gruden thinks about Frosty Rucker. There's a lot of praise out of Jon Gruden about Frosty when he first came in, but not anymore. And by the way, Eddie Vanderdoes, you won't see him probably till week 5. He's going to be on the PUP list. Obi Melifonwu, same thing. Obi Melifonwu actually could be headed to the IR. I don't think he's going to make it this season. Injury after injury. Jon Gruden said it when he first saw Obi Melifonwu, that he was mentally weak and physically weak. That was his first thoughts on Obi Melifonwu, and I think he still thinks that. By the way, the Raiders kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, if that's how you say his name, he is nicked up. So Mike Nugent will be kicking against Green Bay. And this Green Bay game coming up, I gotta tell you, I'm excited for it. It's the first time we get to see the Raiders. There's not going to be a ton of scheme involved, but there will be a little bit. Derek Carr will be out there probably about 15 plays, maybe 12. But he'll be out there, he'll be audibling. Maybe you'll see a motion. If you notice, the first couple of games, I don't think there's one motion. Not one. It's because Jon Gruden takes those 2 first games as like they're nothing but a practice. Like a joint practice. So he's not going to be doing, changing things at the line and having motions. And just overall, it's vanilla. It's not real schemes. This game, I think you will see some of that. I really do. And I want to see the Raiders put up points. And I got to tell you, another bright spot I have observed for the past couple of games is Jalen Richard catching the ball out of the backfield. I think he's been doing very well at that. My only concern with him, will he fumble? Now, I know he's not doing it in preseason, but we all know he has that issue of fumbling. So hopefully he got that under control, and Jalen Richard could be a really good back, especially catching out of the backfield. So, yeah, this Green Bay game is going to be exciting. We're going to know basically the depth chart, in my opinion. You'll know. If guys are out there in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left, those other guys who are not making a team. I can almost tell you who's not making a team. In fact, how about I do that? I know for a fact the Raiders have not settled on it yet. They're probably about 98% done, knowing, who's going to be where, who's going to make it. But when I look at it, it's easy to tell. Keon Hatcher is not making a team. Isaac Whitney is probably not making a team. Sidney Blacknell hasn't done enough in preseason. He's going to have to step it up if he wants to make a team. I'm hoping Marcel Aitman makes it. Jordan Simmons, it's going to be tough. Cameron Hunt, I didn't know he was still on a team, but he's going to get cut. Marcus Ball, tight end, I don't see him making it. Farrah Brown is going to have a tough time making it. Paul Butler, who I think has been one of the bright spots. I forgot to mention him. Tight end Paul Butler. He's been coming up with some good plays, but I just don't think there's going to be enough room for him. How many tight ends are you going to keep? You got Jared Cook, you got Lee Smith, you got Derek Carrier. Those guys are all for sure going to play, so I don't know if there's enough room for 4 tight ends. I don't know. But, Dwayne Harris, he's going to have a tough time. Maybe he can make it as a kick returner. That's his only shot, in my opinion. They listed him as a wide receiver, but if you think about it, you got Amari Cooper, you got Bryant. Johnny Holton, where does he fit in? Because remember, Griff Whalen he's looked upon as someone that the Raiders really like. And we're not even talking about Seth Roberts, who will be back soon. So, and Ryan Switzer and all these guys. The Raiders, Jordy Nelson, they have a ton of wide receivers. Another thing, real quick, to go over what concerns me, is Connor Cook and EJ Manuel. You need a good backup quarterback in the NFL. You really do. And both of those guys have not been good. Now, granted, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt here. They've been playing with a bad offensive line, and they've been throwing to scrubs. But, I will say E.J. Manuel missed Paul Butler about 4 times. He was wide open. Instead, he threw it to Keon Hatcher in the last game I'm talking about. He threw it to Keon Hatcher, and Keon Hatcher didn't do anything with it. And then one, he threw it to Marcus Ball, where I don't know how this guy did not catch the football, but he did not catch the ball. But Paul Butler was open on a lot of those plays, but E.J. Manuel didn't see him. Also in this Green Bay game coming up. Sorry, I'm doing this show live, so I cannot edit and things like that. Marshawn Lynch, we will see some of him. Hopefully he breaks out a couple good runs. I want to see Doug Martin. John Gruden said we will only see him play a couple, like maybe get the ball once or twice. But you know what? I think fans deserve to see Doug Martin more in the preseason. This is a guy, let's all admit here, has sucked for the last, 2 or 3 years. We're supposed to just take John Gruden's word that Doug Martin is going to play like he did in 2008 or whenever the hell he was drafted. I mean, come on. Doug Martin, I think, needs to show the world and in live action in preseason. I don't care if he looks good in shorts. I care if he looks good against live competition. So I want to see more of Doug Martin. I hope he turns out great. I do. But I do not want another Maurice Jones-Drew situation. Remember when he came to Oakland? He finally got to go home and play with his hometown team. He sucked. He was terrible. He was the worst. Maurice Jones-Drew could not get a yard to save his life. So that's why I caution, we're just going with Doug Martin. And that's why I think the Raiders should keep Chris Warren, because I don't buy Doug Martin. I know. We have not got to see him yet. But that's my whole point. We have not got to see him yet. I want to see him in live action in preseason to know he still has it. Because the guy hasn't had it in years. Anyways, the Raiders got Keith Smith. I don't know what Keith Smith's going to do. He didn't do anything in Dallas. They got rid of James Olawale for Keith Smith. So this guy better impress. And so yeah, that's about it as far as the roster goes. Like I said, the Raiders did sign DRC today. So that just adds more depth to their cornerbacks. The Raiders they're probably going to get another cornerback, by the way, before the season even starts. So just to let you know, that will probably happen. So they might pick up a few more players. They might go get another guy on defense. And if something weird did happen with Khalil Mack where he didn't show up in week 1 or 2, maybe they go out and get a defensive end. Unless they think Tank Carradine can do it, which I don't. But who knows? We shall see. We will do another show, guys, after the game against Green Bay. We'll have a lot more intel. I'll be able to break down the film. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of the first unit. The first 2 games, we got to see most of the guys, honestly, aren't making a team that we got to see. But like I said, I like what Shilique Calhoun did. I know he was playing against scrubs, but I like, some of the stuff he did. James Cowser got an interception. I like that. He read the quarterback's eyes really good. So there's some bright spots on this team. And like I said before, I honestly, I would not say this. You know how I am. If I'm going to trash something or whatever, I do it. I think the Raiders are going to be good. Yes, they got a secondary that probably all played on Madden 2009, but Marcus Gilchrist is a good safety. Hopefully, Garyon Conley can be decent. Nick Nelson, to me, looks like he's going to be good. You got Rashaan Melvin. I know Leon Hall is old, and Reggie Nelson, he's a disaster. But maybe he'll be better under Paul Guenther. That's the hope. So maybe those guys play well, but I don't think it's going to matter. Because I think the Raiders are going to be in a lot of shootouts, and they will win those shootouts. Especially if they can get a running game going throughout the entire season. Derek Carr is going to be on fire this season. I'm telling you, I know how John Gruden coaches these quarterbacks. He's coaching him just like Rich Gannon. You're going to see Derek Carr running a lot of bootlegs, a lot of those, just a lot of options. Derek Carr is going to use his legs more, which will result in the Raiders winning more games. I've been calling for the Raiders, for these coaches, to have Derek Carr use his legs more. But unfortunately, you guys were stuck with Jack Del Rio, a career failure as a coach, and Todd Downing, who, honestly, I don't know. Todd Downing he's the worst. Jack Del Rio, you guys were sold, I don't know. I'm sorry, okay? Everyone, Captain Jack was coming in to save the day. Well, guess what? We all kind of knew, hey, this guy was average at best his whole career, but maybe he can turn it around. The Raiders won 12 games, but not because of Jack Del Rio, because of Derek Carr. Jack Del Rio proved the following year he does not know how to control a locker room, to bring a team together. He showed that in 2017. He showed that when he lost the locker room, when he fired Bill Musgrave again and hired Todd Downing, a guy that had no experience being an offensive coordinator. The guy was absolutely awful, and that's why the team was awful. And the quarterback had broken bones in his back. It was a nightmare. It's going to be better this year. It is. Even if John Gruden is out of touch. Even if he is. Derek Carr is healthy. Jordy Nelson is great. Martavius Bryant has speed. Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners in the National Football League. The defense is going to be better just because P.J. Hall and Maurice Hurst look awesome. Those guys are going to get after the quarterback. Either way, this team is going to be better than last year's team. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it. So, guys, I will see you after the game against Green Bay. We'll talk about it all, and I'll give you all the news that I have and things like that. I will see you guys later. If you want to join the greatest group in the world, I have a subscription membership called TRD Elite. It's the Raiders Daily Elite. It's on Facebook. You got to have a Facebook account. You can just go to Facebook and find me at the Raiders Daily, friend request me, direct message me, and I will show you the way, because there's no other way to find this place without a link and without an invite. All right, my name is Stephen Michaels. You are listening to the #1 Raiders radio show in the world. This is the Raiders Daily.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.